I think it boils down to a 5-letter word called pride. A man wants to realize and know if he's going to be gratified, if he's going to be satisfied in the way where he won't be chased out, so to speak. He wants to know if and when he commits, when he does commit, that it's the right thing to do.
It's important, but it's not it shouldn't be what your marriage is centered around. Because you have two people, and when you get married, you have to learn each other. And I call it a journey.
Okay. And never touched each other sexually.
No, I learned is that just because you think about, sex or something like that, you don't always have to do something or act on something just because you think about it. Just have to understand it with my wife now, which was my friend. And I had to be able to be in a place to date her as a friend first, get to know her first, yes. And that everything wasn't a physical aspect.
Hello everyone, welcome to our Men's Day Fellowship and Barbecue 2014, June. Yes. Wonderful Father's Day weekend. We just out having a good time right now, as you can see. I'm so glad my brother in the Lord in faith, Brother Kevin Sheep, has invited me here. I'm so grateful for it. Not a father yet, but I'm made in that mold, in that image. Be patient with me. I'll produce something soon. Only in God. Nothing outside of that, right? So just to let you know, I'm so glad to be here. It's an honor and a privilege. Apostle Ellis, salute to you, Pop. In case this gets out, I did acknowledge you, right? You trained me well. So with that further being said, I just appreciate being here. To glory, God be the glory.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Elder Bernard Spades, it's an honor to have you here. And since by the time people are watching this, yes. Father's Day will be over. I mean, we're shooting it on a Saturday, the day before Father's Day.
Yes.
And I just thought it was important with all this collective wisdom at the table. I just wanted to talk about the present state of men, in particular black men, and just as a single black man. Just kind of give me your sense of what you see in our communities, not just in Philadelphia, but in urban centers, whether it's Detroit, Washington, Baltimore. It's like the same type of issues: chronic unemployment, fatherless kids, single mothers, high rate of dropout with black males. And I'm thinking this is the appropriate time to address some of this stuff, especially as we're about to go into Father's Day. And like I said, when most people see this, Father's Day will be over with. But nevertheless, go ahead.
Yes. One of the problems that we are stuck in this so-called holding pattern as men is because we've lost our focus. That's one of the reasons why men fail. Men fail because of a broken focus. It's not so much that we don't know what to do. It's a matter of us getting in position. And when you're outside of God's will, you don't know your position because your mindset and your conscience has been distorted. The Bible talks about that there's veils that are over your eyes. It covers your eyes. Veil meaning a cover. It's like a blanket that you put over your eyes, and if you walk around, you can't see where you're going. But when you get saved and the timing of God, when God calls you, He takes that veil off of your eyes and you can begin to see your real purpose and your meaning of life only through Him. Then, number two, your focus will begin to come back into its proper perspective. And then, if you're sensitive enough to the Spirit through a man or a woman of God to understand what your purpose is, then you will begin to understand what your focus is. That's why it's a lot of communication flaws, men being misdirected, men making improper choices, bad choices. I don't fault them for that. I've been there. But I'm just so grateful to God that He has redeemed me. I accepted His grace. And now I couldn't be in a much better state personally in my life by understanding what His will was through my apostle, Dr. Jimmy A. Ellis III. So that's one of the things that we got to do as men is get our focus back and understand what the real purpose is.
Mark, let me just swing it over to a brother that's married, beautiful children, beautiful wife. I hear so much, when I'm in the barbershop on relationship blogs about, man, these brothers ain't nothing but dogs. The brothers, all these bees. It's in the rap music. It's in the lyrics. I was listening to a rap song, a rap at the barbershop I go to, and this brother was just talking about, this bee, and I can't use the word, but he was talking about sex, but using the F word. And I mean, as and as a rap artist yourself, people, I mean, this is the language, this is the culture. You know, not saying that every young black, you know, guy and girl is doing this, but it is a major influence. Just wanted to kind of get your reaction on that.
My only reaction as a man would just be to make a contribution, and I think us as men, period, our contribution is our marriage. When we get married, and we saying this is our contribution to society, man. You know, we saying I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to love this woman. I'm going to be here for my children. And not only am I going to love this woman and be there for my children, the other people in the neighborhood are going to see me loving this woman, my wife, and being there for my children. So what that does is it influences other people and gives them a good model to look to. Because, I mean, believe it or not, we're closer to the community than BET, MTV. I know that they come on the TV screen, you know what I mean, but we right outside, you know what I mean. When they come out and they on their way to school, we could be those men, those positive influences in the community, men and guys, and say, hey man, how's that report card going? How's things going? We could be that encouraging voice to hear. I mean, we can't stop the secular music and all the different things that you hear out there, but what we can do is take a stand ourselves, and by pleasing God, we can have something to combat it with. You know what I mean? It's just like, my examples are always kind of weird, but it's like somebody who's trying to lose weight. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a time where they have a cheat day. You know what I mean? So the bad food still exists, but it's just that they overbalance. You flush the majority of the bad out with exercise and proper discipline and eating right and watching your calories and stuff like that. And then thus having you get results. But you know what I mean? We in a flawed society, period. So we can never get rid of the F word, the B word, the people disrespecting girls and everything, because we've been flawed ever since Adam and Eve in the garden. You know what I mean? And
right.
Thankful we can all look to the flawless one. And that's a little shameless plug on my album, which is coming out.
Hey, look, I want to tell everybody. Hey, look, y'all see this is Mark Jackson here. I call him rap extraordinaire. Make sure y'all get his album Flawed.
July 5th.
July 5th, you know what I mean? Reg, let me go, I'm gonna swing it over to another married brother here. Just piggyback off of what Mark was talking about. I mean, because, you know, let's just be clear, you know, there are married people in the black community, brothers that have done it the right way, got married, have children, but for the most part, that's a reality for some, but for a lot of us, that's not a reality. You know what I mean? I just kind of want you to speak to that, because it seems like women are ready to commit. Women want relationships. They want to settle down with somebody, to have that fairy tale wedding or whatever. But it don't seem like too many, at least brothers, black men, want that. Just wanted to kind of get your take on that.
See, a lot of issues with black men is their lack in their willingness to commit. You know, it's very difficult for us as black men to settle down and commit. You know, we have to strive to see. We need to have a relationship with the Lord, and a relationship with the Lord will help us to commit. First and foremost, we commit to Him, and through commit to Him, and through allowing Him to change our lives, then we can then deal with our commitment issues as it pertains to trying to develop a relationship and to get married and to settle down.
Okay. Let me go over to a single brother here, who I have the distinct honor. I mean, most times you're behind the camera, but now we get him in front of the camera. So Martin Lee, let me ask you, as a single brother, what do you see in terms of just the whole relationship piece, particularly with in our community?
I think you have to be comfortable with yourself first. I think that well, we're looking at it just not even from a spiritual point of view, just from a regular point of view. You got to be comfortable with yourself. You got to know who you are. You have to get involved with things, make yourself a better person. And once you find yourself as a better person, then that will attract you to the person that you're looking for. You can't really develop a relationship until first you find out the person that you are, the person that you want to be, your goals and aspirations, and after that, Once you develop yourself, then at that point, then you can go out and start, looking for somebody that's similar to you.
Gotcha. So if you don't know yourself, how are you going to be a compliment to somebody else, basically?
That's absolutely correct. You should first be comfortable with yourself before you move forward. So that's really where, just to go back to your question, where's the state of relationships? That's really where the breakdown with relationships is. We go out with, with females, a female will go with maybe a male, and they find out that, hey, you know what, this is not the person for me, and by that time it's too late. You find out maybe because now you're in all these arguments. Maybe you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. I don't know, but it all stems from you not knowing yourself first. That's what I mean.
So I'm gonna swing it over. Thanks, Martin. I'm gonna swing it over to just recently got married. You can see the glow on him, ladies and gentlemen. Ulysses Pratt. Been married what 2 months now? 2 months, right? 2 months. So let me ask you, because and you know what? I'm so glad you're a part of this, Ulysses, because you and your now wife were engaged for what, 2-3 years?
About 3 years.
Okay, and never touched each other sexually.
Never.
And I know this is going on YouTube all over the place, and I know people right now are saying, "Get out of here," especially men, and especially black men in particular. A black man on Facebook said to me that is impossible because of the male sex drive is so strong. It is just so out of this world. There's no way that, okay, maybe 1 year you're celibate, but don't tell me about no 2-3 years. If that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, he must be a homosexual or bisexual, because no heterosexual male can hold out that long. I know that's not true, and I just want to, if you could just speak to that.
Well, one of the things that I could say that I learned is that just because you think about, sex or something like that, you don't always have to do something or act on something just because you think about it. You know what I mean? The main thing that what got me is just, my relationship with God, and just having an understanding with my wife now, which was my friend. And I had to be able to be in a place to date her as a friend first, get to know her first, and that everything wasn't a physical aspect. You know what I'm saying? Before we even got together, she was celibate for over 12 years, and I was going into like 9 years. So it was something, that had to be like worked on to build up that foundation first. A lot of us, and then we had to see, why we end this. A lot of people get married to have sex, and I had to find out that, that it's more than marriage, it's more than relationships. Than just the physical aspect. And I tell anybody that it can be done. You're not crazy. You're not gay because you're willing to take a stand for, to be celibate. Celibate is nothing wrong with doing that. You're not weak or queer or anything like that. For anything, you are, what I'm saying? To me, that's a core of a real man that's able to wait. I mean, even in the process that if you fall, meaning you may have sex in the process, but the fact that you get back up and be like, we're going to make a commitment, not just to the individuals, but a commitment to God that, that is Him the one that helps us to wait. So I encourage anybody that's thinking about it, there's nothing wrong with you while waiting. Like I waited, and because I waited, it made me enjoy, the best side of my wife. So I encourage anybody, brother, woman, sister, whatever like that, be committed, be willing to wait.
And Ulysses, I just want to piggyback on that, because the one common thread that everybody's talking about is a relationship with God, and everybody's just analysis, God is in the center of it. Now, I know people are watching this. Some people don't believe in God. Some people have a different version of a God. Some people, well, you don't got to get into all that. Ain't that deep. It's about, if we got something in common, blah, blah, blah. Can you speak to those folks that don't believe in God or say, well, I'm not religious?
Well, I can speak that in a day and age like this, you need, and I will go into deep and say that you need God, because you can't go throughout this world, and being there to yourselves. Even for the person that say they don't believe in God, you believe in something, because if you believe in air, you believe in something. You breathing every day, not on your own. So to me, it boggles my mind to not acknowledge or believe, a higher power. If you believe in air, then you can far more believe in God. You know, and God is the true source of the foundation of every single thing, you know, that's like breathing here. You didn't wake your own self up. So, you know, if you can answer to me, you know, how do you wake yourself up in the morning or have a heartbeat on your own, I would love to know, because, you know, the only way I'm standing here to say, you know, is through, you know, God, and not just God, through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the distinction. Not just a higher being, you know, or the creator, but, you know, to, you know, God Almighty, you know, the everlasting God, the God of peace, Jesus Christ as Lord, that has the power to set you free in your mind, body, and soul.
Hey, brother, thank you for making that clear and making that distinction. Elder Fox, let me go over to the good elder here, get that elder perspective. You're single.
Yes.
Black male. Okay. Is it impossible to be celibate? Is it impossible to have a relationship with a young lady, to court the young lady, date the young lady, have a girlfriend, and not have sex? And you a black male.
I would say this from this perspective, from this day and age, it is possible to not have an encounter, sexual encounter, because to me, it's not always good for a man to see every woman that he meets. He wants to have a relationship. No, because see, what's going to happen is that the man's going to die or he's going to be broke. From that perspective. Number two, a woman is there to aid the man, to help the man, so that they'll be able to come together, and hopefully by God-given discernment, that they'll know that they're right for each other.
Okay.
That there has to be some type of compatibility there. Because when a person likes a man likes a woman, there's something there that the man likes about the woman. I would say take your time, get wise counsel, or if the Holy Spirit is telling you, if the Holy Spirit is not giving you anything, He's telling you no, just wait it out.
Okay. Now, you know, on that point, somebody on Facebook said, but the Bible also says that it's not good for man to be alone, and sort of justifying that, you know, the fact that, well, it's impossible for this male to be celibate for all these years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, and use the scripture to kind of justify. The Lord said it's not good for man to be alone. I want you to, because I know you're a student of the Word,
all right, now,
extrapolate on that.
When people think of alone from a physical aspect, that meaning alone as a person or lonely. That's what it means. Alone, that means that all of us here, we can be alone, but not be lonely.
That's good.
See, with God, when God puts the Spirit in us, we're not lonely. He sets us alone, or He may set us apart, but we're not lonely because we have Him.
Right.
Now, sometimes, just like saying, for instance, if a man decides not to get married for the rest of his life, what do you call him? He's straight. He's not gay because he don't have that. God may have placed that desire in him not to be, but just to carry on his purpose in life, and that's it. If he live and enjoy life, and that's it. Whereas if a man is married, it's a little harder because of the fact that he has to share his commitment, but his main commitment is the Lord Jesus Christ.
Gotcha. Reggie, on that point, because, you know, I like what Elder Fox said. It is for those of us who are married, okay, and for all the people that's watching this, oh man, I can't wait to get married. And I know most of this comes from women, because it seems like black men don't really say that much. But can you talk about just the challenges of marriage? Because I know most people think in terms of marriage, man, I can't wait to get married because, man, I'm going to tear something up when I get married. Man, we're going to have sex 24/7, 7 days a week. I want you to speak to that, man.
Well, in many cases, marriage can be challenging, but the one key aspect is, prior to marriage, developing a friendship with your mate. When you develop a friendship with your mate, marriage won't be as challenging as most marriages are. I always think that prior to marriage, it's very important to develop a friendship with your mate. You know, there's certain things you're going to deal with within a marriage that, if you have that friend, it makes it easier for you to deal with, as opposed to if it's just a wife. So it's really important to develop a friendship and a closeness, and then because there's a bond that forms with the friendship, Whereas when the challenges do arise, you can deal with it more effectively and efficiently because you have that relationship, that friendship, that closeness, you know. So it's very important prior to marriage to develop a friendship, because based on your friendship, you'll be able to deal with the consequences of marriage. And it'll go over more smoothly than if you weren't friends or you didn't really get to know each other on a closer level.
Now you just bring up a good point, because when I'm on a lot of these relationship blogs, these secular relationship blogs, and I watch, you know, Wendy Williams, and I watched the Atlanta Housewives and Tamar Braxton's and all them. You know, I see it's a lot of drama in relationships, particularly black relationships, particularly in our youth. Okay, but you just hit on a point that you got to be friends first. So it seems to me there's a lot of romance, but it ain't no real friendship. So then they get hooked up, they get into a sexual relationship, and then the sex kind of just, to me, it just kind of messes up everything. I just want you to speak to that.
Well, when you are friends with somebody, it goes deeper than intimacy. And intimacy isn't always sexual. You know, you can be able to converse with one another, just talk to each other. You know, that friend, there's certain things that I'll do with my wife from a friend point of view. You know, there's times when I switch from the marriage to the friendship. There's certain things like you wouldn't necessarily do. She's my best friend. There are things I wouldn't do to my best friend. You know, like a wife, she can get on your nerves and you can be like, you know what, I'm out of here. But the best friend, because of the relationship and the bond that you establish over a period of time, there's just certain things you're not going to do to your best friend. You know, that relationship in itself enables you to hang through times and situations that you probably wouldn't hang through if you didn't particularly know this person, or you just met the person and got married real quick but without developing a relationship or a friendship. You know, the bond of a friendship, you know, is key to being able to maneuver and deal with the challenges of marriages. Okay.
So so let's say here's a woman, right? Young black woman, looking for a good man, as many black women are, want to be married one day. What would you say to them, those who are watching right now? What would be your advice in terms of what is a good man?
A good man, first and foremost, must love the Lord. If a man loves the Lord, he will have no problem loving you. That's the first and most important aspect that any woman, black or otherwise, should look in a good man. Because if you don't know how to love God, how would you be able to love a woman? You know, to love a God who we can't see, it'll make it easy for us to love somebody who we can see. So the first thing I would say, and trying to find any man, if you want a successful marriage, is the man must first and foremost love God. Because if he has a true love for God, it's God that will help him be able to love you the way that God has created and ordained us to love our wives.
Okay, now I already know where I'm going here, and I'm sure people watching this are going to say, now what about people? That's that religious talk. That's that religious stuff. I don't believe in God. You know, can't you have a good relationship without, you know, all this church stuff?
Well, let's take it back to its origination. Originated relationship. God. In the beginning, God created Adam. But he saw fit that it wasn't good for Adam to be alone. So he put Adam to sleep. And from Adam's womb, he took out a rib and created woman. Now, what's really unique about this is, once Adam woke up, God never said, this is your wife. Adam woke up, saw the woman God had created, and said, you are bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. How would he know that? That was through spirit. That was through that connection. It was never told to him that that came from him. That's just something he picked up. So you can't take God out of the equation. He's the one that instituted relationship. That's right. And that's the only way you can have a successful relationship. Now, you can have relationship. You can. But it's not guaranteed that it will be a successful relationship outside of God.
Mark, I got to swing it back over to one of my married brothers here. Talk to people just about what goes into a relationship. I mean, to me, if you're dating, it should be for a purpose. you know what I mean, to eventually get married. But there's a whole process of getting to know the young lady, lady getting to know you, you know, if it's going to progress, there's, you know, okay, hey, you know, I'm gonna commit to this sister, let me propose to her, let me get the, you know, let me get the engagement ring, you know, let's go to some marriage counseling, let's get married, okay? Can you just walk us through that whole process? Just from your perspective.
I can run you through it. I can't walk you through it. No, but a quick run through, man. Basically, choose a girl you like. I mean, some things is like the basics, like choose a girl you like. You know what I mean? If you don't like a girl that don't look a certain way, don't choose that girl unless that girl. But I can't really just say choose a girl you like. How can I put this? I'm just trying to say let's not wipe away the natural side. Mm-hmm. You want a girl to look good, there's nothing wrong with you going after a girl because she looks good, but you want to go after her for more than just her looks. You want to go after not just that she looks good, but that she carries herself well. You know what I'm saying? Not just that she looks good, but that she also carries herself well. Find out how her relationship is. See how she reverence men. Does she have respect for men? See how she carries herself around men. Is she always flirtatious around all the guys? So that's going to let you know you're going to have a lot of issues right there. You know what I mean? So I just want to touch on a couple of natural things because I know my brothers, my elders, and everybody got it all spiritually covered. I got my backup with me. So I just want to touch on some natural stuff, man. And I also like when Brother Reginald said that he said immediately he knew that you were flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone, you know what I mean? From the spiritual side, I believe he picked it up. But I think he could look at it from the natural side too. Like, well, you don't look like an elephant, or you don't look like all this other stuff I've been naming. No, you look more like me, you know what I mean? So that's just a shout out to the ladies out there, you know, try to carry yourself well. If you're big, be big and beautiful. If you're be skinny and beautiful. But overall, be a woman of God, you know what I mean? And try your best to keep your, you know, sexual urges down, you know what I mean? Because once brothers get some, they have that power to just begin to take advantage of you, you know what I mean? And don't be, another thing, I hope I'm not going off for the question.
No.
Another thing, don't be mothering, we got real men out here, you know what I mean? Just look for them until you find them. Yeah. Don't go try to make a real man. Don't start putting a boob in their mouth, like start mothering somebody who, needs to go into manhood, and you being a crutch to that man because you paying all his bills and you always rubbing him on the back and all that every time he's late for work and he gets in trouble for being late. No, you let him know you shouldn't be late for work. You know what I mean? Be on point. You want a real man of God. You want to look for discipline in a man. And I pray, sisters, you know, we love you. I pray that you find a real man of God. And I just like to say Happy Father's Day weekend from all of us. We feeling good right now. Brother Kev got the food going on. I just want to give a big shout out to Brother Kev and his wife for opening up their home, and we just having a good time. It was natural. We all eating and having a great time. Brother Kev whipped out the camera because that's what he does. That's what he breathes. I believe if you don't breathe it, you're gonna leave it. You know what I mean? So he breathes that. He lives through the lens. You know what I mean? And I believe his heart is that people will get real relationship and real down to earth, you know, ministry through the lens, and that's why he pulls the camera out right in natural moments like this. So excuse us for not having the best set, but we have the best setting because we just relaxing and the breeze is beautiful. You know what I mean? How about y'all?
Hey, Elder, let me just ask you.
Yes, sir. Hey, listen, before we get started, listen, let me tell you something. All this wisdom y'all getting, ain't no charge for this stuff. I'm telling you, you ain't gonna get this. You ain't getting this nowhere else. Listen, if you travel across this globe, listen, it will call you $1.25 to get in. This is for free what you get. So I'm telling you, I'm taking notes. That's why you ain't see me. Had to get myself together and all. You know, I look good, y'all. I look good. So I had to get myself together, take notes. For a minute I wasn't on camera, but I'm telling you, I'm single. I'm getting all this, and on the real side, real talk, all this information that you get right now is free of charge, and it's serious, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to know I'm going to take it and apply it to my life, and I hope you do the same. Now you can go to the next question. I'm sorry, that was just a commercial.
And with that said, please, for just $1,000 seed, you'll have your man today. Just give me $1,000. Somebody out there got $1,000 in a cookie jar. You make a sow and seed of that $1,000, and you'll have your man and God today.
Hey, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So send it to P.O. Box 3.
Be careful, right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold it. Wait a minute, we on camera. Hold it. Let me get ready. Hold it.
But ladies, okay,
I'm sorry.
So ladies,
back.
hey ladies, all the sisters that's watching this on YouTube, he is single and he is eligible. But now with that being said,
single, no money, no honey. This is mine, ain't yours yet. God ain't. Don't get no ideas. Don't get no ideas. I ain't heard nothing. All right, don't get religious. Say you heard God tell me that's my man. No, it's not. No, it's not. I ain't heard him yet. So don't jump. Don't jump.
So as a single
yes,
brother,
sir. Yes, sir.
What kind of woman would you look for?
Kind of woman I would look for.
What are the qualities?
First, the woman I would look for, she has to be a woman of God, a seasoned woman of God, a woman of God that understands me from the inside out in regards to my vision. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. I believe in direction. I believe in guidance. The woman that God sends to me will be a woman that's waiting to get into position. I'm the leader. She follows. What she's doing is she's getting into position so that she can follow me. I have no leadership. She can't follow. Leadership, you can follow. So with me being the man, the Adam that's in the garden is where God has me right now. So by me being in the garden, I have all the spoils. The insurance, the cars, the house, the money, everything. I'm in position right now waiting for my Eve to come. So when she comes, she will come in the garden and observe and see everything that's there and begin to say, hey, this is my Adam. Take the rib out. Let's get married, blah, 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 blah. But we're going to do it like we need to do it and go to our man of God, which is my apostle, Dr. Jimmy Ailes III, get his validation on it, and then we can go forward. That's the type of woman that I am truly waiting to hear God tell me to search for.
Okay. Thank you. Martin, from a single perspective.
Oh, by the way, I'm single too. And I gotta throw this plug in there. A1 credit. A1.
All right. Hey, ladies in Facebook out there, it is possible to find a black man that has A1 credit.
A1 credit.
And he has a job, ladies. You don't have to take care of him.
Great job.
So as a single brother, what kind of woman do you desire?
All right. Well,
I mean, what are the qualities you look for?
all right. Well, I need a woman with extensions and never mind. That's all Cool J around. Bamboo earrings and extensions. No. But first, before I answer that question, I also want to throw my thanks in to Kev for having this. We all enjoying ourselves, and I appreciate the time to just chill with everybody. But just to answer your question here, the type of woman I'm looking for is just a woman who, first and foremost, is a woman of God, but a woman who is comfortable with herself, who knows what she wants with a man. Just a woman with, well, let me back up for a minute. It's a lot of females out here that have a lot of issues. And I think it's important to stay away from people with a whole lot of issues. I mean, it's counseling for that. It's not a relationship for that. But a woman who's comfortable with herself, a woman who works, a woman who just knows the things that she wants in life, and is just comfortable with having a good man instead of having somebody that's crazy, whatever. Somebody, like I said before, there's women out here with a lot of issues, whatever. I'm not about a lot of issues, and I don't think.
So you don't want all this drama?
No.
Exactly. So you want drama-free woman?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that a woman that I'm around should be drama-free for the most part. Mm-hmm. I know that some was hard to say because people do have some issues, whatever. But just to be plain, there's some people that's over the top. Some females is over the top with issues, and
right.
A lot of that stuff is caused by what they do.
Okay.
So if I'm to date a woman, well, let me just back up for a second.
She better have A1 credit.
A1.
Amen. She gotta have A1 credit.
Amen.
You better tell her. She gotta have A1 credit.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. You can kind of, and women, they know this about men also. You can kind of know the type of woman that you want maybe within the first 5 minutes of speaking with her. Most of the time.
That's true.
Even less than that.
Good that you got.
So it's always so it's important. Like the last answer I answered earlier. You have to know what you want. That's the main important thing. You have to know what you want, and you have to know where you're going in life. And that's the type of person I would prefer to be with.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Martin. Ulysses, let me go back over to the married side here. What was it that you saw in your wife you mentioned that you guys at first were friends. What did you see in her?
Well, I can say honestly beyond, because we were already saved, but the thing that drew me to, which is now my wife, was her trust. So I was able to trust her. I was able to be able to open up and share my heart to her, knowing that the things that I shared with her, I knew that nobody else knew. So it wasn't just the spiritual aspect. I had to trust her first, because a lot of times we want people that are saved, but just because a person is saved, it does not mean that person is meant for you.
Right.
You know, and my wife, she is a strong woman of God, and she had the ability to trust me, and I trusted her, and she was able to understand my past, you know, and not judge me based on my past, but, you know, accept me, you know, in the future state where we're at now. So that's the thing that drove me to my wife, is trust. Okay. Trust is a key element. Like, before we can get to the spiritual part, before we can get to anything or any type of foundation, it has to be built on trust. You got to be able to trust it.
Okay, all right, and that's one of the big things that I see a lot, and as I'm on relationship blogs and I look at a lot of these shows, it's a whole lot of trust issues. You know what I mean? And many women I've heard say, hey, you know, these men out here, you can't trust them. I don't care if they married or not married. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that there's still some good men out there that's willing to, you know, to take a stand, you know, to be committed to that person. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that's going around the world, like, you know, where people like to downplay marriage, but, you know, it's a good thing, you know, and there are some real men that's out here that's being committed to that one person, you know, not having an open marriage, not doing all these other things, but really going for the core principles of marriage, that, you know, you can be committed to that one person, you know, and you don't fall out of love with that person. I'm a firm believer that this is a person that you can be with happy, you know, for the rest of your life.
Okay, I want to touch on a controversial thing, because can you have a marriage, two men being married, two women being married?
Well, I will go on here to say, where I do know that they just made it legal, you know, in Pennsylvania, that same sex and like that, I'll be a firm believer and say no. No, I know that, a lot of people will probably, even that's listening to this now, that will bring a lot of controversy and stuff like that, but I will still stick and say that, marriage is honorable for a man and a woman. There's nothing beyond nothing. The thing about it is, we got to understand, to go back to the principles of marriage and what marriage was made to do. Marriage was made to reproduce. Another man can't reproduce, another life. So we're going back to the core. So from what your question has said, yes, marriage is set for, the man and the woman. Okay. Not two men, not two women.
All right, thank you. Elder, I got to swing this over here, because I've heard this from the homosexual community. Isn't Jesus about love? Isn't God love? So why can't two women get married? This is what, the community says, the gay community. Why can't two men who love each other, they don't hurt nobody, they've never killed nobody, they pay their taxes, they're good to people, they love children, they'll even make it in comparison to the civil rights, and say they have a right to be married. Just like they have a right to go in the movie theaters and sit in the front of the movie theater, they have a right to get on public transit buses and sit wherever they want on the transit buses. They have a right to have medical care, have a job. Why can't I have a right? If I'm a man, I want to marry another man. If I'm a woman, I want to marry another woman. Because after all, isn't God about love?
Okay, the first part to your question, yes, God is about love. However, as you look through the Bible, and even as you look to before all this began to open up, just picture, just imagine. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like distasteful, and it's really inappropriate. And homosexuality is wrong, regardless of how the new modern church now may say and not do anything, regardless of what the United States says, regardless of what the world thinks. Now, in certain countries, if you do that, you'll be executed. You'll be stoned. You'll be put to death. In other countries, here, we're trying to embrace it as a whole, but there are some places that still won't embrace it. I believe it's still wrong for a man and a woman to get married, regardless of what's being out there, what laws are being changed. But see, if you break God's original law, which Satan has done, which the devil has done, because he's a counterfeiter, because he tries to counterfeit what God does. So in the Bible, we see that a man and a woman is supposed to be married. That's the way how God puts it. Now the way how the enemy puts it, like he did with Sodom and Gomorrah and all the other areas, it's gonna come down to destruction. That's what it comes down to. Regardless of what civil liberties or what they say, what's out there, in which homosexual couples are given the benefits and the rights. It's just like saying a black man still being a quarters of a man. It's not. It doesn't exist. So what man does, since he cannot obey God's law, he went around through the authority of the devil and through the influence of the devil to put that homosexuality into place. And to me, that's something that the church has to be more of, is to tell them homosexuality is wrong. You can get yourself out of that. God has a planet, a man and a woman, for those who desire to be married to the opposite, not the same sex. Because the same sex is kind of
okay.
That's just. I mean, people may go with it. They may say, "Oh, well, no." The thing is basically, where will this thing end up with you in eternal? Like in eternal, external. Where it's going to leave you. So you're going to be judged by what you thought, what you believe, what your actions are. If the actions are pure,
be careful,
honest, careful, you did the things what God, the Lord Jesus Christ said it, and how He put it in His Word, the Holy Bible. Then of course you have a presence for that. Yeah, you have a spot for that. But for those that do not follow, regardless of what the Bible does talk about not to do, there's another place where God will put you at.
They still eat.
First Lady, wait a minute, so I don't get in any trouble, I'm sorry. Sharon, Sister Sharon Keefe, I want to ask you a quick question, and I just want to thank you guys for just allowing me to interrupt y'all eating for just a second. I want to ask you something, because I'm on these relationship blogs, secular relationship blogs, and I look at the Wendy Williams shows and the Atlanta Housewives and all these other reality shows, and they're always talking about relationships and stuff like that. And they're always, and I often hear this from black women. They say, "Ain't no good black men out there." Do you agree with that?
No, I do not agree with that.
Okay, and why not?
We do have some good black men out here. Sometimes it's hard to find because it seems like they're involved in other activities. Like they would prefer to be, I guess, not attached and just want to do what they want to do.
Right.
But when you get to know them, talk to them, they just need some guidance, I believe. And if they find the right woman, that'll help them want to, settle down in their focus to be, geared now towards relationships.
So why do you think there's so many black women that are frustrated though? And they're in and out of different relationships and and they'll hear what you say, but they'll say, "Look, I done been through this nigga, that nigga, this, I mean, that's what they say." So, I just want to get your, get your vibe on that.
No, somebody else can.
Okay, go ahead, Darlene.
I think the frustration with a lot of women actually lies in the fact that they're always the ones looking for a man when they're not supposed to be. I think if they're waiting patiently, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're waiting and not doing anything, you're just sitting on your hands waiting, but if you're waiting patiently, the person will come. A lot of times, I've said this before, women sometimes get impatient and start looking, and a lot of times that ends up being your problem. You looking for somebody that you should never been looking for.
Mm-hmm. So Shanika, is that's a good point. Should women pursue men? Should they go looking for that good man? You don't like the army looking for a few good men?
Should women pursue men? That's an interesting question. To piggyback on what your dear wife said, yes, while women should wait, and while they're waiting, I believe they should also work on themselves. Whatever issue that they have going on, allow God to deal with it, or get help, or whatever it is. Because sometimes people get in relationships, women get in relationships, and they're frustrated, but they're looking for someone to heal or take care of whatever issue they got going on. And should women go out and look for them or pursue a man? I'm old school. I personally don't think you should do it. I know of people who've done it, and they were successful with getting that man. But then it's like, if you're going to go and do it, pursuing and leading, is he going to lead now? Are you going to allow him to do that? You know what I'm saying? With me being old school, I think it's nice to be sought out. I think it's nice to have someone come look for you.
Okay.
Want to do things for you and treat you like a lady.
Right.
Be a gentleman in your life.
Right.
Nowadays, with our culture, women are very aggressive.
Right.
And they feel like men are too slow. So I would still say wait, be patient.
Okay.
Let the man seek out the jewel that he wants.
Gotcha. So we're gonna swing it over to Rakia, because we don't often hear from Rakia. Everybody, this is Rakia Jackson. This is Marc's beautiful wife here. So you're married. Obviously your husband pursued you. Y'all had a long-term friendship. But then when you get married, and I know a lot of women, they just dying to have that beautiful wedding and all the bridesmaids, their mothers, the limousine, the cake. But after all that's eaten and the wedding is over, now you got to deal with the marriage. Talk about, for all the single ladies out there that are just dying to get married, what is married life like?
Married life is good, and it's not about the wedding and all that. It's definitely about the marriage and like that day after. That's when it all starts. But I believe it's work. It's definitely hard work. You get what you put into the marriage. And I think that you have to respect one another. It definitely is respect. You gotta have, even if it's not the same goals, y'all have to be able to work around to get into each other's goals. I think, and definitely understanding. You definitely need understanding, because there can be a lot of misunderstandings, and that causes the confusion and lack of communication. So if you got communication going, respect and understanding, you got something going good.
Okay, and you know what, and I'm so glad you said that. There's so many different aspects to a marriage. One thing I always hear a lot with relationship shows, reality shows, Wendy Williams, there's always a whole lot of stuff centered around sex. And people are like, oh, I can't wait to get married, man, I'm gonna have sex every single day. Can you speak to that?
It's definitely more than just sex. Like, sex is good and it's a plus, but that definitely ain't what makes a marriage at all. Because people have sex without being married. It doesn't make it right, but sex don't have anything to do with marriage at all, I don't think. Okay. It's a plus.
Right. I like that. Sharon, same question. People, often say, hey, I can't wait to get married. I'm going to have sex, da-da-da-da. Now I'm legal, da-da-da-da. Just want to get your reaction on that, because that seems to be such a big thing. Just wanted to get your spin on it.
Yeah, sex it's important, but it's not it shouldn't be what your marriage is centered around. Because you have two people, and when you get married, you have to learn each other. And I call it a journey, because you have to go through different stages in your marriage. So you're growing together, and different things will happen, like down along the road and everything. So sometimes sex may not happen like as often as you would like. So you have to have that commitment there, because that commitment is what will hold you together. Okay. So it's more than sex.
Gotcha. Same thing, and this is probably a good question because you just recently got married.
I just recently got married.
Right, and as I mentioned, we were talking outside with the guys, and one thing I want to commend to both you and your husband is that you guys maintained your integrity. And many people that are watching this are saying that is impossible. That's just ridiculous. There's no way in the world people can be together. I mean, that's all this religious stuff. Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. That's funny. It is possible. It's possible with God. All things are possible with God. Ulysses will tell you, and I'll tell you, I'm very open with my testimony. Before I decided to live a life of celibacy, I was pretty much out there having sex with whoever I wanted to have sex with. And it just came to a point where, one, you gotta respect yourself, and then two, when you're connecting and having sex with different people, you're joining your spirit to another person's spirit, and you pick up things that they're dealing with. And a lot of people don't see that when they're having sex with all these people. So you're dealing with stuff, you don't even know why you're dealing with it, but it was something that you picked up when having sex with Tom, Joe, or whoever you was having sex with. I went 12 years without having sex before marriage, Ulysses 9, and we realized that so much more in a relationship, you gotta learn that person. And like Sharon was saying, you know, it's different aspects of a marriage, different seasons in your marriage. So, and that's within a relationship too. So it's like, now that we're married, now we're learning each other all over again with being married. So like Rakia was saying, it's a plus, it's great, it's wonderful, but what about when you can't have it? Then what you gonna do? You're not gonna talk, you're not gonna go out, you're not gonna enjoy that person, you're not gonna support that person. So no, it's so much to a relationship between marriage than sex. Sex is just like the icing on the cake. Like that candle that's lit, but it was so much to put that cake together. That candle was the last part. So
Right. Well said. Jan, I want to ask you this question because I heard one time I was, I think, doing a relationship show, and a brother was saying, I was doing a relationship show in a barbershop, and the point was that the brother was making was that why should he have to change? And he was talking about he has a lot of female friends when he gets married. Why does he got to get rid of all those female friends because now he's married? Why the change up? I just want you to just give me your comment on that. Should the brother get rid of all his female friends and all the numbers and emails and whatever else?
Do you think your wife or your girlfriend should get rid of her male friends? I'm sure you wouldn't want her, talking on a cell phone and texting and emailing another man when you two are in a committed relationship to one another. So yes, I do think you should eliminate the female friends or friends of the opposite sex. Your wife should know your friends of the opposite sex. It cuts down on a lot of confusion. And it cuts down on a lot of things that it can lead up to, having female friends. So why do you feel like you need to have a lot of, other female friends? Why do you need to have that? If your wife or your girlfriend should be your best friend, talk to her. Whatever you have issues, you should be able to talk to your wife, your girlfriend. Okay. Yeah, be open and honest. Don't try to be sneaky and sly.
Gotcha. One other question, because I know people are watching this and they'll say, well, this is very religious and it's that church stuff. You can have a successful relationship without that God and bringing church in it. Can you have a successful relationship? I'm talking about male-female. Without God?
No, not if you want to be committed to each other.
Oh.
No, God is the center. He's the one that instituted marriage. So he knows about marriage and relationships. So, no, he has to be centered.
Okay.
He has to be.
Okay. I want to ask you something, Rakia, because you and Marc been together for a long time. And what's the difference? You guys were together for a very long time, and then you guys got married. What's the difference between the marriage, being married to Marc, versus you guys being together all those years?
The difference with the marriage is there's the commitment. You're more committed, serious. You have more of a broader look on where life is taking y'all both, and not just you. And it's definitely like a different kind of commitment, I believe. Because before marriage, you think you're committed, but then when you're married, like you look at commitment in a whole nother way.
It's at a higher level. Right. Would you agree with that, Shanika? Because I mean, you and Ulysses, same thing. You guys were friends for a long time, weren't even romantically involved, and then got romantically involved, and now married. Give me your reaction to that.
I agree with Rakia. It's a good question. All your questions were good, first of all, but that's a good question because a lot of people are dating and are together and they live together and they're not married, and they're together for a long time in a relationship and not married, and a lot of people women too feel like, oh well, I'm entitled to this and I'm entitled to this because I've been with you for this many years, but truly it's no covenant relationship. And to take it away from God, the law now in Pennsylvania really doesn't recognize you as married anymore when you're together for 7 years or more. So you really do have to have that marriage certificate. You are entitled to more, and there's a higher responsibility and a higher level of, what do I want to say, entitlement, I believe, once you are married. You together, it's like it is broader and you're stronger together. Once you're married, it's just so much is open up to you now that you're married. It's like, I don't know, it's like something that's seen but not seen. It's like a respect that's there that wasn't there before, now that you're married, instead of just dating or being together for a long time. And I mean, the brothers definitely feel it, I'm sure. You know, you got that commitment now. It's on paper. Right. It's legal now.
So why do you think? And this is interesting because many particularly black women, they want to get married, they desire it, they fantasize about it. They're so happy for their fellow sister that gets married, but I don't see the same level of drive and passion for men, particularly black men, to get married. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I would have loved to have heard that answer to the brothers when you asked them that question. I would have loved to hear that answer. It's more responsibility, I believe, for a man. It's hard, and I know some people who are watching this may not really want to hear too much about God, but it's kind of hard to take God out of it, because God is everywhere. He's in everything, whether people want to acknowledge it or recognize it or not. So it's like there's a higher responsibility, higher level of responsibility or commitment that's now required of that man. He's the head of the household. Like, he's responsible for his family. He has to take care of his family. Now, the woman is there and she'll be there to help, but it's that man who needs to pretty much step up and, lead and guide your family. And who running to commitment like that? Who really want that responsibility?
Well said.
Like that?
Yeah, well said.
If you saying, oh, here's all the sex you can have, they're gonna run for that. But
so there's some conditions along with all that sex.
It's more is required of you now that you're getting all of this. That's what it is.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Men don't want that responsibility.
That's right.
So why can't black women find a good black man? Because the black men don't want to be responsible.
I think I'm getting on. I think you guys are hitting on something. You guys are hitting on, because if I'm a man, right, and I'm a brother running around in the hood, and I can have, this sister, that sister, Jane and Fatima and Sally and all these other women, and have all the sex I want and no strings attached and no commitment, or I can hook up with, sisters so-and-so, and she gonna take care of me. I can move into her spot. She gonna cook this. I can drive her car. She gonna buy the food. I'm gonna sit around and eat. Why? To that brother, why should I get married when I'm getting all the benefits of a marriage without committing? So you hit on something. So, darling, to that point, right? So many sisters do feel, though, that what's the need of getting married? We living together. We've been living together for all these years. We split the bills, blah, blah, blah. We do our taxes together, etc. We do all the stuff that married people. What's the sense? I mean, that's marriage. That's a piece of paper. What do you say to that?
I don't necessarily feel that way in terms of women. I think for the most part, women want to be married. Right. And I think a lot of times what they do to try to have the feeling of marriage is move in with someone and have the whole, the white picket fence and all that. But you have all that in a false way. You know, you're not married. You don't have that certificate. So just as Shanika said, you know, he can get up and do whatever he wants to do because he's not really committed to you. He's not committed. Who says that, yeah, he should not cheat or, you know, do whatever, but who says he can't? Because he's not committed to you in marriage. He's not in a covenant relationship with you. So I think, you know, for women, most women do desire to be married. I think that's a God-given desire that women has placed, that God has placed in women. So I don't necessarily think they look at it like, I don't have to be married. I think for the most part, women do want to be married. It's just sometimes going the wrong way of getting to that point. And in a lot of cases, they never get there.
It's a marriage question.
I got to ask you a quick question. Why is it that women, right, they desire to get married, they want to get married, they fantasize about it, the whole thing, they're excited when their girlfriend get married. How come the men, how come it's not such a rush and a passion for men to want to get married?
I can only speak from my personal opinion. I was ecstatic to get married. You couldn't get me down the altar fast enough to get married. You know, I think men aren't as ecstatic because they're not showing the person that they're going to marry. If you're showing the person that you're going to marry, you'll be excited and ecstatic to marry that person. That's just my personal opinion. I was going to run down the aisle to marry my wife.
Okay. So, all right, Mark, I got to ask you the same question. What is it? It just seems to me that brothers aren't really all that really interested in getting married. I mean, we do, but it's few and far in between.
Yeah.
I mean, as opposed to women's. I just want to get your vibe on that.
It's just they don't want to, you know, share their time. They don't want to share their freedom, and some of them don't want to. Some don't want to commit. You know, I'm not going to say everybody, but some don't want to commit to just one girl. They want to be able to deal with another girl if they meet her somewhere else, or another girl, you know what I mean? Want to keep their options open like that. And a lot of time in keeping their options open, they basically living for themselves and not living for God. Meet girl, sleep with a girl, or she ain't the one. Meet another girl, sleep with another girl, or she ain't the one. And then some brothers just like being single. They just like don't want to share their money, don't want to share their time, don't want to let somebody know where they're going ahead of time and stuff like that. They just want to be themselves, and that's fine too, you know what I mean? Just, you know, don't be knocking us for loving our wives and being married. You know?
All right.
I think each is on, everybody.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, well said. Ulysses, same question.
I believe I believe that some people don't want to commit, but then I also believe it's a balance too. That some men want to you know, make sure that they have things in order before they actually run down there, and actually it's a big commitment that you're doing, because it's not that you're just it's not you yourself. It's actually you taking on somebody else that you're going to be actually there for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So I think it's a balance with it too. I think that sometimes the people, they don't want to commit. Now for me, I always desired to be married. Even in my sins, I always wanted to be married. But I always wanted to make sure that, you know, that it was the right thing and that I had everything in order as well prior to doing it.
Gotcha. Single brother here, Brother Martin Lee.
I want to answer this question.
I got the answer. All right. Let me just get with Martin real quick. Give me your opinion.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make this real quick. I don't think it's a rush. I think you should find the one that you want to be with, find the right person.
So get the offering, please.
Then y'all should get married. Everybody's not ready to be married right yet, but once you find the right one, then you know you'll make your decision right then, and you'll make your decision at that time. Sometimes it's a process, but overall, you know when you're with the right one, and at that time, then you can make a decision whether you want to get married or not. But it's not a rush, though. And those who do rush, sometimes find the wrong one.
What's the question?
All right, Elder, so why is it that so many, particularly our sisters, our black sisters, they're wanting to get married, they fantasize about getting married, they're happy for the sisters when they get married. I mean, it's just the ultimate dream. How come it's not the same kind of passion, drive, and all that with black men wanting to commit and desiring to get married one day?
I think it boils down to a 5-letter word called pride. A man wants to realize and know if he's going to be gratified, if he's going to be satisfied in the way where he won't be chased out, so to speak. He wants to know if and when he commits, when he does commit, that it's the right thing to do. Because if you notice, when a man is not married, he chases so much. You understand what I'm saying? It's like making a decision based on, am I going to settle with her, but I have a passion for this sister? You understand what I'm saying? When a man is not stable, his flesh leads him. Okay? It takes him to various different places. Now, spiritual discretion is advised in what I'm about to say. There's two heads on a man. Y'all got what I'm going, upper and lower. Okay? So once you hear me in spiritual maturity, okay? He has to come to a decision where he has to discipline himself in that area. Okay? Go to God and ask God to help him understand that when I make this decision, I need to make it up here and not nowhere else.
Now, Elder Bernard, what you just said is what I was going back and forth in a recent Facebook blog where a brother who said he was a Christian, who said, oh, I know all about the church, I've been in the church for years, there ain't nothing you could tell me, you can't preach to me. But his whole point was, it is unrealistic for a healthy single male to be going maybe 1 year celibate, okay, 2, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15 years. He said, get out of here. Get out of here with all that religious stuff. There's no, the man's sex drive is just out of this world. How can a man be celibate for 10, 15, 20 years?
A man can be celibate for 15, 20 years. It can only happen, in my opinion, through God. God in his grace and God in his power. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not married. I don't have any children. If God can keep me for 15, 16 years, he can keep you as well. Here's the question. Do you want to be kept?
All right.
Okay, I don't hear no answers. You gotta want to be kept. You understand what I'm saying? If you really want to be kept in yourself, you can be kept. Number two, you have to seek help. Okay? Humble yourself. Talk to some women. You can talk to some men. Talk to some other brothers that have actually been there, done that. In other words, they're not married, but they go through the same struggles. You understand what I'm saying? Because only if you humble yourself, men have this pride issue where they don't want to really humble themselves and come to grips and come to terms of acknowledging that I have a problem. Okay, that's a problem that I foresee in the black community. I have an issue. Can I get it resolved? I don't need no help. I got it all figured out. So to answer your question, if you want to be kept, you can be kept. The Bible is full of people that God has kept. There's some people that I know that God is keeping. So with his situation, he just is paraphrasing and patching and laying aside his issue and covering it. Okay? But if he really wants truth deliverance in that area, let's pull everything off of what he's hiding and let's deal with it at him.
Can you just say that, Sister Sharon, can you say that, what you just said, right in front of the camera lens?
When Darlene finished, I want to say, ladies, see your worth. You are worth marrying. You are a diamond, a jewel, precious, and worth being sought after.
Amen.
So value yourself, your self-worth. get your self-esteem up. And if you have high self-esteem, that's very good. So see yourself valuable. You are worth someone marrying you.
Yeah.
That's right.